may be seated.
Well, praise the Lord, saints. Praise the Lord. John, would you stand and pray over the next part of the service? Hosea 1, 2, and 3. The beginning of the word of the Lord by Hosea. And the Lord said to Hosea, Go, take unto thee a wife of whoredoms, and children of whoredoms, for the land hath committed great whoredom, departing from the Lord. So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim. If it happened in today's modern church, it would be the most scandalous scandal ever heard of. It would be on the front page of every newspaper. It would be the lead story on the 10 o'clock news. It may even make the talk shows. Local preacher seen with prostitute. It's outrageous, I know, and extreme, to say the least. But this is the story of a preacher named Hosea who married a woman named Gomer. Now, Hosea was the first of the minor prophets. If you research the name Hosea, you will discover that Hosea's name is also related to the name Joshua, which means salvation. Hosea was a young preacher in the nation of Israel. He lived during the reigns of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, which were the kings of Judah, and during the reign of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, the king of Israel. Jeroboam was one of the wicked kings of Israel, and the nation was going through a difficult time when Hosea was preaching. People were living it up and didn't have time for God. They surely didn't pay much attention to Hosea. He spoke of judgment and punishment. He said that God was going to raise up the Assyrian nation to punish them. But the people, they paid no attention to him and said that Hosea's God must be very vengeful. Hosea tried to tell them that God was a God of love, and that by his judgment and punishment, he wanted them to see what they were doing to themselves. And how many know that God sometimes works like that? He'll make things rough for you just to get your attention. But they didn't pay any more attention than people do today. And so Hosea is very discouraged. And in the opening chapter of this book of prophecy, we read that God told him to do a strange thing. God says to Hosea, I want you to get married, and I have a girl picked out for you. But I want you to know the whole story about this girl. She will be unfaithful to you. In fact, she will be a prostitute. But I want you to marry her anyway. You are going to have 3 children by her, 2 boys and a girl. And when they are born, I want to name them for you. Pastor Keith, would you like a message from the Lord like that? No. How about you, Don? No. The word that God had for Hosea wasn't easy. Hosea was told to take a prostitute for a wife. It showed obedience for him to actually carry out this difficult command. But through this command, God brings to life a picture used throughout the Old Testament. In the picture, the Lord is the husband of Israel. And Israel's attraction to idols was like the lust of an adulterer. His people were as unfaithful as a prostitute was. In this picture, we see how our idolatry and rejection of the Lord feels to God. When we put anything, church, in front of the Lord, it hurts him like unfaithfulness hurts the victim of an adulterous marriage. By commanding Hosea to take a wife of harlotry, God will put Hosea in a place where he feels what God feels. And it won't feel good. Hosea 1:3-5. So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim, which conceived and bare him a son. And the Lord said unto him, call his name Jezreel, for yet a little while, and I will avenge the blood of Jezreel upon the house of Jeru, and will cause to cease the kingdom of the house of Israel. And it shall come to pass at that day that I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel. Now, I would like to make something clear. When Hosea married Gomer, she did not give up her career as a prostitute. It wasn't that Hosea found a fallen woman and through love and kindness restored her to virtue. He married a prostitute. And no doubt he was hoping that she would give up her sin and be devoted to him. But she remained a prostitute. The first son born to Hosea and Gomer was Jezreel. The name means scattered. And God told Hosea to name his son Jezreel, to confirm his promise that Israel would be defeated, destroyed, and taken captive by the mighty Assyrian Empire. The broken bow, mentioned in verse 5, symbolized loss of power. Let's read on, Hosea 1, 6, and 7. And she conceived again and bare a daughter. And God said unto him, call her name Lo-ruhamah, for I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel, but I will utterly take them away. But I will have mercy upon the house of Judah, and will save them by the Lord their God, and will not save them by bow, nor by sword, nor by battle, by horses, nor by horsemen. Now here God named Hosea and Gomer's daughter Lo-ruhamah, which means no mercy. And every call to this child would remind Hosea and everyone else of the coming judgment. Hosea 1, 8, and 9. And when she had weaned Lo-ruhamah, she conceived and bare a son. Then said God, call his name Lo-ami, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your God. The second son of Hosea and Gomer was named by God Lo-ami, which means not my people. And again, every call to this child would remind Hosea and everyone else that the people of Israel had pushed away God and should no longer be considered his people. Now let's take into consideration that the message God had to deliver to Israel through Hosea was hard enough. But God also made Hosea live with it. Let's read on. Verses 10 through 2:1. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God. Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together, and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land. For great shall be the day of Jezreel. Say ye unto your brethren, Ami, and to your sisters, Ruhamah. Through God promised judgment. The days of judgment, it wasn't going to last forever. For after judgment, there would come a day of prosperity, increase, and blessing. One day, Israel would return to the Lord and once again be called the sons of the living God. God promised a restoration so complete that the division caused by the civil war of Rehoboam and Jeroboam, a division that stood for 170 years, would one day be gone. We can say that one way this promise is fulfilled. It's in the church, where God brings together Israel, Judah, and even Gentiles into one body. Ephesians 2:14 through 16 says, "For he is our peace, who hath made both one, and hath broken down the middle wall of partition between us, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, even the law of commandments contained in ordinances, for to make in himself of twain one new man, so making peace, and that he might reconcile both unto God in one body by the cross, having slain the enmity thereby." The first child of Hosea and Gomer was named Jezreel as a sign of judgment. But God promises a restoration so complete that Jezreel will once again be a name of greatness, not judgment. Hosea 2:1 says, "Say ye unto your brethren, Ami, and to your sisters, Ruhamah." This shows that the redemption is complete. The child Jezreel has his name redeemed, and the people are no longer scattered. And now the next two children, Lo Ruhamah and Lo Ami, have their names redeemed. Lo Hamah, which was no mercy, is now mercy. Lo Ami, which was not my people, is now my people. Their names redeemed, as Israel is once again regarded as my people unto the Lord, and mercy is shown unto them. What was a sign of judgment is now a sign of redemption. You know, I'm always telling everybody about opportunities, that there's opportunities every day in our lives to do something for the Lord. And I have a little story here. There lived in a city of Marseilles 100 years ago an old shoemaker, loved and honored by all his neighbors, who affectionately called him Father Martin. One Christmas, he sat alone in his little shop, reading of the visit of the wise men to the infant Jesus and of the gifts they brought. And he said to himself, if tomorrow were the first Christmas, and if Jesus were to be born in Marseilles that night, I know what I would give him. He arose and took from a shelf 2 little shoes of softest snow-white leather with bright silver buckles. I would give him these, my finest work. How pleased his mother would be. But I'm a foolish old man, he thought, smiling. The master has no need of my poor gifts. Replacing the shoes, he blew out the candle and retired to rest. Hardly had he closed his eyes, it seemed, when he heard a voice call his name, Martin. Intuitively, he felt aware of the identity of the speaker. Martin, you have longed to see me. Tomorrow, I shall pass by your window. If you see me and bid me enter, I shall be your guest and sit at your table. He did not sleep that night for joy. Before it was yet dawn, he arose and tidied up his little shop. Fresh sand he spread on the floor, and green boughs of fir he wreathed along the rafters. On the table he placed a loaf of white bread, a jar of honey, a pitcher of milk, and over the fire he hung a hot drink. His simple preparations were complete. When all was in readiness, he took up his vigil at the window. He was sure he would know the master. As he watched the driving sleet and rain in the cold, deserted street, he thought of the joy that would be his when he sat down and broke bread with his guest. Presently, he saw an old street sweeper pass by, blowing upon his thin, gnarled hands to warm them. Poor fellow, he must be half frozen, thought Martin. Opening the door, he called out to him, "Come in, my friend, and get warm, and drink something hot." No further urging was needed, and the man gratefully accepted the invitation. An hour passed, and Martin next saw a poor, miserably clothed woman carrying a baby. She paused wearily to rest in the shelter of his doorway. Quickly he flung open the door. "Come in and get warm while you rest," he said to her. "You are not well." "You are not well?" he asked. "I am going to the hospital. I hope they will take me and my baby," he explained. "My husband is at sea, and I am ill, without a soul to whom I can go." "Poor child," cried the old man. "You must eat something while you are getting warm." "No, let me give you a cup of milk to the little one." "Oh, what a bright, pretty little fellow he is. Why, you have no shoes on him." "I have no shoes for him," sighed the mother. "Then he shall have this lovely pair I finished yesterday." And Martin took down the soft little snow-white shoes he had looked at the evening before and slipped them on the child's feet. They fit perfectly. Shortly, the young mother went her way full of gratitude, and Martin went back to his post at the window. Hour after hour went by, and many needy souls shared the meager of the old cobbler, but the unexpected guest did not appear. At last, when night had fallen, Father Martin retired to his cot with a heavy heart. "It was only a dream," he sighed. "I did hope and believe, but he has not come." Suddenly, so it seemed to his weary eyes, the room was flooded with a glorious light, and to the cobbler's astonished vision, there appeared before him, one by one, the poor street sweeper, the sick mother and her baby, and all the people whom he had aided during the day. Each one smiled at him and said, "Have you not seen me? Did I not sit at your table?" And then they vanished. Then softly out of the silence, he heard again the gentle voice repeating the old familiar words, Whoso shall receive one such little child in my name receiveth me. For I was hungered, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of my brethren, ye have done it unto me. Pastor Keith.